Hot 1027 Business with Nzinga.
On Wednesday on Hot Business, we go beyond our borders to speak to companies doing interesting work on our continent and beyond. Tonight, I'm speaking to Ejiro Gray. She's the Director of Governance and Sustainability at Sahara Group, an energy group. Ejiro, thanks so much for your time. Just explain to us where the Sahara Group operates and your main businesses in those areas.
Thank you very much. At Sahara Group, we're an energy conglomerate. We're global. We started off in Nigeria, but we've spread our wings across Africa. So we're in West Africa, in East Africa, and in Southern Africa as well. We're looking to also expand to North Africa. We're in the UAE and in Far East Asia and in Europe as well.
And just explain to us then the plan that you have to enhance your sustainability footprint. What does that mean in simple English, and what does it also mean practically?
Okay, thank you. So sustainability for us is a collective effort. It's basically ensuring that everything we do today is in preparation for the future. The impact of what we do today, the business, the way we go about our business, and generally the way we interact with society will have an impact on future generations. And so we want to ensure that we're quite responsible about the way we go about business, about the way we interact with our society in terms of our staff and the larger society, the communities in which we operate, in such a way that posterity will judge us positively.
What are the current energy needs on the African continent, and do you think green energy will be able to meet them, or we still need a mix for some time to come?
So I think that for the continent, we do have a long way to go. However, I think that we are such a blessed continent that we can actually take advantage of the things that occur naturally in our environment and use it to promote green energy. Now, with the green energy, you would notice that it's contending with a lot of other equally important issues, such as poverty, such as low access to energy. And it's important that we see the green energy drive as a means of fulfilling or addressing the equally important issues, such as the access to energy, closing that gap, and also addressing issues such as poverty. One of the things that drives poverty in the continent is that issue of low access to energy. Energy drives industrialization, and industrialization naturally also drives economic empowerment. So if we're able to take on that green energy initiative as a means of addressing the energy poverty that we experience and the economic poverty, I think we'll be killing more than one bird, with one stone.
Okay, staying with that point though, what is a just and equitable energy transition in an African context? What does that look like, and how will we know that whenever it happens, it's been successful?
A just energy transition for Africa simply means we must allow our developmental needs to be addressed in the course of driving the energy transition. And so we're saying we understand the impact of climate change. We understand that it has an impact on Africa. We understand that we're probably the least equipped to deal with it. But we're also saying our developmental needs are important, and we have these resources on the continent. We must be allowed to use these resources to drive our development agenda. And in that regard, also deploy technology in ensuring that there is a transition from the conventional fossil fuels to cleaner fuels, but we must be allowed to use the resources to drive our development. Think about it in the form of a GPS navigator in a vehicle. The driver of the vehicle determines the destination of the car. It determines the speed at which he arrives at the destination. But the GPS offers pointers as to the route with the least traffic and the fastest way to get there. But ultimately, the destination and speed and direction are in the hands of the driver. So we're basically saying, let Africa be in the driver's seat, while the West acts as the GPS navigator to help us with their own resources, with their own knowledge as well, in navigating this journey. But we should be allowed to determine our destination and the timeline for getting there.
And if you had to say what a practical timeline, I know that our continent is not one homogeneous body, so it's a very difficult question to maybe answer. But when do you think we could see a just transition in Africa?
Yes, we can see a just transition in Africa, but we will determine that. So Africa basically needs to come together and speak with one voice and determine their narrative and their journey. No one else can do it for us.
Okay.
So we have to come together. It's something that has to be a collective effort. We have to look at our countries across the continent, look at where we can leverage on economies of scale and synergize to drive that transition.
What's the importance of African students? We know we've got a very large youth population on our continent participating in a meaningful way in science, technology, engineering, arts, and the mathematics industries. And what work are you as the Sahara Group doing around that?
So we're doing quite a bit. We have a program called the STEAMers program, and this is a way of encouraging interest in the STEM subjects, but as well as the art as well, creative art as well, digital art as well. And so we've done this in a number of countries, in Nigeria, in Uganda, and in Kenya. This year, we're looking to take it further into Tanzania and then into Malawi. And the whole essence is to encourage the interest and to drive that creative confidence in our African youth, especially in those still in the secondary school stage of their development. To drive that interest, we sponsor a competition. It's a regional competition. And of course, the winners at the end of the day get prizes both at the national stage and the regional stage. So it's a way of driving that interest. Also in the area of recycling, we're doing quite a bit in recycling. We recently launched a partnership with the Lagos State government to drive recycling across Lagos State. And we're looking to use that model, to replicate that model in other locations where we operate. One of the things we do is to also encourage the younger ones to create awareness, first and foremost, to educate them on the benefits of recycling, so that even from a young age, they become very environmentally aware. We need to create that awareness in them so that they start to think in line with innovation in the future of energy, in the future of environmental preservation and conservation for Africa. What does it mean for the continent? What can we do as the youth and as the continent to drive that change and to drive that development using our resources?
Yeah. Ejiro, in the beginning of the show, we spoke about how you started as the Sahara Group in Nigeria and just expanded beyond your borders. I think a lot of our listeners would be interested in what you think the key to that success was, because not many companies get to leave their country and set up base not only on the continent, but beyond that in the Far East, in the UAE as well.
Okay, so I think one of the primary things that has led to the success is the understanding that we see ourselves as a bridge and a catalyst. A bridge for development, addressing supply needs, closing supply gaps, and the catalyst for development, because in our expansion plans, one of the things that we do is we go into a country, we identify where the supply gaps are, especially in the energy sector. And then we start to partner with the governments of those countries and even the private sector in driving initiatives that close that supply gap. So it's about understanding what the needs are, it's understanding the supply gaps, understanding what the distribution issues are, and then closing those gaps. That's one of the primary things that drives our development. Another thing is just resilience. Africans for Africa, that's what we preach and that's what we understand, because no one understands our problems like we do. And so it's important that African businesses are encouraged to get involved in solving Africa's problems. We're big advocates for that. We drive that, and we also encourage other businesses to do the same in partnering with them, in sharing ideas with them as well, and proliferating that mindset of Africans for Africa.
Ejiro Gray, the Director of Governance and Sustainability of the Sahara Group. Thanks so much for your time on Hot Business this evening on our Beyond Borders feature.
Thank you very much.
Hot 1027 Business with Nzinga.